caved in for my desire to eat at Storehof, but it was a slight disappointment. As normal, they served bread, but this time they just had butter, and not this spread that they had self-made. And then the other dish that I had was, yes, I had a glass of Chablis white wine, and then the other dish was Jerusalem artichoke, deep fried, and pike perch, breaded or battered pike perch. It was nowhere near the portion that we ate. The poached cod. It was. I regretted it already when I ate it, that I could have not gone. But it has a nice atmosphere. It's this big foyer or in-house courtyard where there's all the trendy people from Stockholm come there. And yeah. Or maybe not all, but quite a few anyway. And I would have gone there last week's Wednesday, not yesterday, if I would have been well. The whole Documentum team there. But it wasn't to happen. One thing that I decided to put on video was the progress of the diagnosis. So what actually took place in order for me to get the diagnosis, or what were the steps that I took. And I've recorded the first portion of it here. I'll maybe do it later, the next bits. But Terry had suggested a couple of times that maybe it's better that you visit the doctor, given the symptoms, because I was being fatigued and I couldn't walk and my legs were flapping. You could clearly, or maybe it wasn't clear to me, but it was maybe more clear to Terhi that something fishy was going on. So what I then did, because it's an absolute pain to get appointments on the public side, so what I then did was that I reserved a time in Sellodiakor, which is a private thing, and luckily I can put all these kind of medical things on my company, so it wasn't a biggie. So I went there and I talked with the doctor there. I just mentioned my primary symptoms, dizziness and numbness and stuff like that. And as soon as he heard about the symptoms, he said that, yeah, this needs to be investigated. And they immediately asked, do I work for a big company? No, I'm a private entrepreneur. And then he decided that, yeah, maybe it's better that you take this further on the public side, because these exams that are most likely going to be performed, they're going to be running in the thousands or even the tens of thousands of euros. So he forwarded me to the public sector, and then I got a letter from the neurologist saying that my first appointment. So this very first visit was 4th of September that I went to Diakor, and then the letter from the public side came 23rd of October. Or sorry, the letter came before that, but then it says that you're welcome to come there. So this was a whole 7 weeks later from the initial doctor's visit at Diakor. So it took them nearly 2 months to process the thing. But this time I went to the doctor with a complete list of symptoms. I gathered what I had thought about until that. I now know that I do have other symptoms. For example, this, when I put my head down, I get electricity in my left foot. So I didn't note that as such, as a symptom. But now I know it's a symptom. I get it. So the symptoms that I listed for the neurologist were imbalance when walking. And when I walk like a drunk. And when I walk, the actual walking, it takes way too much of my processing power. So I'm thinking about my walking. So it doesn't come naturally. It doesn't come easy. I need to constantly think about what I'm doing now, which is, it's not supposed to go like that. And then I mentioned my very first active recollection of this imbalance thing. It was at Ramsey, when I tried to pull open a sliding door. I was opening a sliding door like it was a normal door, and it took me off balance, and I was shaking, and that when I was trying to get out of the meeting room, and people were kind of making a joke, what have you been drinking, and what's going on? Then the next symptoms that I mentioned to the neurologist were numbness, and I wrote them down, and what do you call it? I made notes about them, so that's why I have them here. I'm reading from them, and it started from the feet and moved to the hands, and a couple of times the numbness was even on my chest, and I remember it being on my shoulder blades also. Going completely numb. These are symptoms that I haven't had in a long time, so thank you God for that. And then another good thing that hasn't come up now is when writing on a computer, left for a prolonged period, the left hand starts, or it doesn't work anymore. You can do touch typing with it anymore. And there are worse and better days. Like there now, that some days are worse and some are better. And the week that I just went to the neurologist had been the worst week, for, as I recollected, ever. And then hands had pain in them. I haven't had pain in my hands, I can't remember when. So that's a thing that has completely subsided. Then I think this was the deal breaker for the neurologist, was that I mentioned I had numbness when defecating and urinating. So you didn't have a sense of, for example, when urinating, you didn't have a proper sense that here, this is the end. And then the feeling of, let's say, going to take a dump, you wouldn't feel anything, and then suddenly it's 100. I mean, if you think percentage-wise. So it went from a 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds, and then you really had to go. And there were some accidents related to that. What do you call it? When I was cycling to Nokia, I didn't feel anything when I left, and then when I was going to the changing room, then suddenly, I need to go. Same with what do you call it? Urinating, that you didn't notice, or you didn't have the feeling that it ended, or you had a false feeling of that it ended, and then you made a mess of yourself. Then I think this was the very first ever symptoms. This is not imbalance, this is jerk emotion, and this was at EMC when I got up from my chair and then started working across this cubicle space, and then I went jerked a couple of times and then it subsided. I should have noted then that some and currently, when I was at the doctor's, this happens in bed. That you get this, and that is another symptom that I haven't had for I can't remember when last, which is positive. And then electricity in the back of the leg. This is something I mentioned, but this was, I think, more just lying down. I got it, but now I can, when I tilt my head forward, I can feel it in my left leg. And when I've been watching these, some of these people who, when they talk about their symptoms, this is a clear symptom that they have, and it's acknowledged to be a symptom of MS. Then inability to perceive the space that you're in. And this example I was at a hotel and I gathered breakfast on my plate and I held it in my left hand. I haven't had this problem either anymore. So there's a lot of symptoms that I used to have but I don't have now. But still I somehow feel like I'm in a worse condition that I was previously. But what do you call it? This symptoms was that when I gathered food on my plate, I couldn't sense that what is level, and it would tilt and stuff would fall out. So at some point I had to kind of carry my plates with two hands to keep it stable, which was kind of weird. Movement, clumsiness, stuff dropped from the hand, dragging my foot, flapping the other, or flappiness when walking on the left leg, inability to run. I tried today, I went for a walk after I went to Storehof and I ran about 10 meters and it was way too risky. I could have fallen over at any minute. And then inability to move fast and difficulty to climb stairs normally. So I had to kind of leap over steps. So I would go 2 steps at a time, and that would somehow be easier because the movement, it didn't require speed, but it required kind of strength, and that worked better for me. What else? Coldness. Yeah, this was one of the symptoms. Was that my left leg went cold from the toes up to the knee, and it felt like it was in a refrigerator. And that I'm a bit debating whether that has subsided or not. Maybe it has slightly. I'm not sure. I haven't thought about it that much, but I still have my woolen socks on, and that started, the coldness in my left leg started way back. It was a 21 day fast with IHOP that I did, a water fast, and I somehow in my head I related it to this. I said, yeah, this caused it, which I now don't think. So all of these symptoms, the doctor was convinced, yeah, and he ordered me a set of MRIs where I then went, and the first one was on the 13th of November, and this is the first time I let people outside my immediate family know that something is going on. I sent an image from the MRI room to, I think, the family WhatsApp group, and the second, so the first one, it was head related stuff, and then the second one was on the 20th of November, and then it focused on the spine, and had a look at those. The results of these scans, they are posted in a video UVB purchased, and this video was posted 9th of March 2016. So from there you can see the results of these two MRI scans. Knowing or being conscious that the video length is getting long, terminating it here, and then I'll continue the
Lord, I've said I want to serve you. I've been so eager to love.
Good morning. It has been 2 very weird nights, in the sense that it has been nearly impossible to get up, and I've slept over 9 hours each night, but it's been tough to get up. But here I am. Had one episode during the night where my left arm, the whole arm, was tingling with electricity, but that subsided quickly, and there's nothing in it now. So now it's off to FM to do a bit of installation work, and then I'm coming home. I guess the flight is in about 9 hours. Jesus is King.
But it seems I've forgotten